Hello and welcome to Growfully. I thought to put together an intro video and just share a little bit on my background and how I came to this place, as well as a summary and the approach of the Growfully content to come. The intention behind Growfully is essentially to share an understanding of life as well as tools that I've really found helpful in navigating life in my own life. The approach has definitely brought me a lot of general contentment and peace of mind, and these days life somewhat just makes more sense, especially when challenges come up. The idea is to keep the content incredibly simple and neutral with hands-on tools that we can use in everyday life, and really just to keep this content accessible to everyone. I really believe that content humans will cause less harm to themselves, others, and all on the planet. So in essence, it's just really a win-win. I'd say the way I see life these days is definitely not the way I was born. I found growing up pretty challenging. I had many sort of fears and limited belief systems along the lines of a bad relationship to money, low self-worth. I do a lot of things from places like guilt and obligation. I had a lot of insecurities and self-doubt, just to name a few, as well as I'd really worry and overthink things a lot. Belief systems affect our everyday lives, and so my reality was affected, and the experiences I'd have in life were affected by these belief systems. Along with that, growing up, I was kind of different to many around me, and I'd often battle to relate to other people in conversation and whatnot. And in essence, I often just really battled to make sense of life and would get frustrated and things quite often. When I was younger, I also had no clue of what to make of life, really, and why it was the way it was. I just thought it was quite random and unfair, and I was just somewhat unlucky. I don't want to go too deep into details of my life now, but I just thought I'd give a bit of a background and context as to how I've come to this place and how I have come to find these tools and wanted to share these. These days I believe that we have experiences to really show us things about ourselves. And when we have an experience that's unpleasant or difficult in the form of pain or uncomfortable in some form or shape, it really means that something is needing attention in our lives and something is needing to change. And every time we're able to learn and change from these experiences, we become a healthier version of ourselves. So the last few years, I've generally become grateful actually for situations and people that have brought me pain and discomfort, as crazy as that might sound, because it's really forced me to realize things about myself and to change things that no longer serve me. Not to say that I allow those situations to repeat and those people to continue in the way they used to, but when it pushes me to the point that I realize something about myself and am able to change it, then I become a better version of myself. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for that. And when you learn the lesson, I really feel that one finds peace within that. So, when one doesn't feel peace around a situation, generally it's telling me that there's more to be learned. And so I believe, if we're more willing to change sooner, experiences don't even need to become that painful. It's more just our reluctance to change often that makes situations get more painful. So I hope by sharing this understanding and these tools that others may be able to use these tools in the same way and at least know what to do with difficult situations in life. The source of the Growfully content, the majority is definitely not invented or created by me. I've essentially just gathered information from different sources, information and tools from different sources, and really tried to put it together again in a very neutral and simple way that you and I can use in day-to-day life. I'd say much of the content is based on quantum science around neural pathways, as well as the essence and wisdom of spiritual and religious teachings, including a lot of my own practicing of these tools and methods and the understanding. So I've really tried to, or am living along these lines, and it is working for me, and that's kind of where I've gotten to this place to now want to share it more widely. To me, spiritual and religious belief systems are all kind of pointing to the same source or in the same direction, and that's the direction of unconditional love. And that, for me, if anything is not from love, I honestly believe it's not from God or Spirit or creation or source, or whatever name you want to call it. To me, it's all the same. And when I feel that something is not from love, I'm immediately discerning of it. Or in this case, by love, I'm meaning unconditional love. On that point, I try and refer to love as unconditional love. And to me, unconditional love is a very real love. It's very strong, often quite tough. And cause and effect like. It's often not the conditional love that we often grow up knowing. It's a far stronger but real love. As I said, tough often. Some examples of unconditional love, again, are kind of source or creation or God or spirit or life or universe, whatever one wants to call it. And maybe nature is a good example. It's like, it's very real. It's very cause and effect. It's very real. But at the same time, there's a great love and beauty to it, but in this real sense. A large focus of Growfully is really identifying and removing belief systems that no longer serve us, and replacing them with more healthy belief systems. Or I believe that we are beings of unconditional love, the essence of us. So when we start removing belief systems that don't serve us, we get closer to this place of love. And as we start removing these unhealthy belief systems, generally our state of mind improves, and the decisions we make improve. Our actions are more healthy, I should say, maybe is a better word than improve. And just generally our physical reality and our environment and our experiences all improve. For me, a lot of life is essentially really discovering ourselves. I believe we're all different. We all have different experiences growing up. And we're on this planet for different reasons. So none of us are the same. We're all unique. And our goal really is to learn and create and share from a place of love and inspiration. And to know that life really has a plan for us in terms of what's going to call us, what we're going to be called to do. But it's hugely about removing these things that hold us back, and from that we start realizing what we are here to do. So really it's a case of you do you and I need to do me, whatever that really is. It's not about changing that, but it's just that we do it gently and lovingly and caringly in a mindful way with our best sort of intentions. And to do it in a way that we'd like to be treated, like with everything we do in life, that we ask ourselves, are we doing it in a way that we'd like to be treated? I often find in life it's also not about getting what we want necessarily, but really what we need. And the longer we with what life is giving us in terms of what we need, we often surpass anything we could have ever thought we wanted. So it's really to just trust what life is giving us and just be with that. To really not force ourselves to live according to the outside world in terms of other people's wants or expectations on us, or living according to the norms. I used to try and fit in when I was younger, but it really just was not a way forward at all, and brought me a lot of discomfort and whatnot. There's a quote, something along the lines, "It's best to do yourself as everyone is taken," and I just really like that quote because it's so true of us. Of like, the more we try, or anything we try to do that's not us, it just doesn't work out. And when you really start checking into what we are, who we are, and start living that as an individual, it really becomes awesome. And yeah, so just generally as well in life, to become really mindful of our intentions and our actions, and just be loving and gentle. That's what's important in life. And I really believe in concepts of like karma and closer to God and reap what you sow, cause and effect, you get what you give, all those kind of things. So again, it's about how we treat ourselves in that way and how we treat others. I believe and have found in my own life that when we are doing us or our uniqueness or living our truths, as it's sometimes called, we really find purpose and meaning in life. And that brings us a lot of sort of contentment and peace of mind. Our external environment also doesn't affect our state of mind as much. We seem to be stronger in who we are and less affected by what people think or say of us. Because again, I believe when we're doing our true essence, we're actually getting closer to love or God or source or whatever you want to call it. And that makes us stronger because we're kind of being held by that energy. And in the other direction, the further we are from ourselves, often the less content or happy we are. We can become depressed, often feel unfulfilled. We're often needing to search for satisfaction and happiness outside of ourselves, often through ways of like validation, external validation and consumerism and distractions and things like that. So again, the closer we become to living us, the more content and peaceful we feel. Know that when you are doing you in a gentle and loving way, that it really is the best for you or yourself and everyone else in the long run. Initially, it might be a bit of an upset and people might be a bit like, what are you doing or whatever, but in the long run, it really works out for the best. And vice versa, to let everyone else do them, whatever that is. Again, as long as it's done lovingly and gently, it really is best for them and then for us in the long run as well. Our uniqueness is also, from what I've found, very different from anything we could have imagined. As with me, this whole thing of putting videos together around topics like this is the last thing I ever would have imagined. But I've kind of been pulled towards it, and I'm hoping it's the best for all in the long run. But it's interesting how life, again, has a plan for you, and it's just about being with what is and what's coming up. And again, if you have ideas of what you're wanting to do growing up and if they don't work out, just to surrender to that, to be with what it is, because there's something on its way, and just to be present with what is coming up and what is moving for you. Also in life, I'm always looking for win-wins, where all parties benefit, if that's the right word, in a healthy way. That's in terms of friendships and relationships, and in terms of living environments and work as well. Otherwise, honestly, I'd really not be a part of it. If either party gains more than the other in terms of power or control or ownership or money, I really believe that party that so-called gains will lose out in other ways, and those ways being peace of mind possibly, or energetically or physically in some experience with someone else or something else in terms of loss or theft or damage, or in some form or shape. There's really a way, again, karma is very real, or whatever you want to call it. So just to really look for, win-wins where all parties benefit in a healthy way. And again, why wouldn't we actually want it in that way? Yeah, I also really try and be aware of the impact and the knock-on effects of everything I do and say right down the chain. As I believe, again, I get it back energetically in some form or shape. So in terms of my actions and my decisions and my purchases, to really be as mindful as I kind of can. Because, yeah, I really do believe it comes back. I also really believe that when anyone is not acting in a loving way, it's because there's some belief system based on fear or limitation or lack that's running in their subconscious. An example being people who are run by power and greed and wealth. I often find in some form or shape have got a belief system based on lack running in the background. And they're just trying to fill this void within themselves. So this really actually, this kind of belief system or understanding of people in these places, and this is just an example, this understanding of this lack within them kind of helps me have a lot more compassion for them. Not an excuse or not excusing them, but I seem to have more compassion for where they're at. And an understanding, which also helps. It's not just that this is who they are. Adding to that, I've really noticed that often people have a belief system running in the exact opposite way to how they come across. Yeah, so essentially they're just trying to fill voids within themselves, so they've developed these personas to kind of act out in this way. This journey of discovering oneself is often known as the hero's journey. There's a documentary available if you want to watch it. You'll find it online. So for me, life is really about listening to what life is showing us in terms of the external experiences we're having, in terms of what we're feeling, and as well as our thoughts. And it's really for us to act and change accordingly and remove what doesn't serve us. In fact, I've noticed within my own life that if one ignores these messages, if you want to call them that, they really get louder and more painful, and it can end up in physical body pain. We can become unhappy or depressed or sick, and even disease eventually. I believe a lot of diseases out there are from living in unhealthy ways, mentally and physically. So yeah, for me, life is really about becoming healthier. We all grow up in this world and pick up all kinds of unhealthy belief systems, in other words, neural pathways, like doubt and fear and lack and insecurities, guilt, often low self-worth, shames, and living from expectations or doing things because of expectations. And again, these sort of belief systems really affect us every single day of our lives. So a large part of the Growfully content, again, is to really be able to identify and remove these belief systems. If they're unhealthy or no longer serving us or not from love, as I often call them, then it's about really replacing those belief systems again with more loving ones by essentially reprogramming our neural pathways. And that's part of the tools that will come in the future videos. And again, this really improves our state of mind. We start making better and healthier decisions. Our experiences in the external world really start improving, and I often find we start meeting new people, or at least the people we around meet us in a different way, again kind of reflecting where we are. Our external world really is like a mirror of our internal subconscious landscape. So yeah, if there's something we're really wanting to change in the outside world, it's often about asking ourselves what belief system do we need to change internally rather than trying to change the outside world. It's often a lot easier to just change our own belief system around it, and then again, straight away, it'll be reflected back at us. I've heard it said that we're like radio stations transmitting our subconscious belief systems continuously, and just generally life and people and animals, without knowing it, pick up on that and mirror that back to us. There's the saying law of attraction, and it's very true, yet we attract everything. We attract the positive and the negative, if you want to call it that, or the healthy and the unhealthy. We literally attract everything that goes on. There's also a term I was told, attenergy, which I really like. Essentially, it's saying where attention flows, energy goes, and it's the same thing. It's like whatever you're thinking or more what you're feeling at a subconscious level, that's what's being brought into your life. So to be really mindful of our thoughts and what's going on for us, and yeah, being very aware of that. And this is also being revealed by quantum science these days, which is quite profound. It's no longer just theory, it's like the science is really becoming evident. So in terms of identifying feelings and emotions, these days I'm continuously sort of listening to what life is showing me in my physical environment in terms of like the things I'm doing, what's working out, what's not working out. I'm also continuously sort of scanning my body for emotions and feelings and physical pain or any form of discomfort. This really is my compass in life, and it really helps me navigate through life and know where to put attention and what to change. If something is not working out and I'm having to push it, then maybe it's not meant to happen, or at least not yet. Or maybe I've got some belief system that is blocking this kind of thing from happening. If something doesn't feel loving and peaceful within me, I try and identify what's causing the emotional feeling. I ask questions around, am I in an unhealthy environment? Is there an actual danger or threat that's physically present? If so, then the feeling is valid and serving me, and generally I need to take some action in the physical world in terms of saying something or changing something. However, if I'm in a healthy environment and a safe environment, and if I'm doing my best, in other words, if I'm not pushing or not slacking, if I'm doing my 100% as I call it, then possibly what I'm feeling is a fear or some form of limitation. There's an acronym for the word fear, which is false evidence appearing real, which essentially means that we're fearing something, but it's not actually real in this environment. We might have had an experience in the past, but right here and right now, it's not valid. Or it's some belief system that's not from love, as I call it. And then the feeling is maybe not serving me. So then generally I need to change that belief system. I often use muscle checking in these sort of situations to identify what the fear or what I'm feeling and what the fear is, or if it's serving me, things like that. But again, we can get to that in future videos. If the belief system is no longer serving me or not from love, I use tools to replace these belief systems with positive, loving ones. In other words, changing my neural pathways. For me, life is really a process of getting rid of belief systems that no longer serve us or are not from love. And this helps get us closer to becoming humane beings, as I call it, from love. Not human beings, but humane beings. This also gets us closer to starting to live our own uniqueness and our full potential, as it's sometimes called, or also as it's sometimes called, our calling or our purpose. And again, just knowing that life has a plan for us. And again, once we start removing these unhealthy belief systems, what is revealed is essentially the real us. I've heard it said that we know we're in the right place when we feel called and inspired to do something, yet we're really scared of it at the same time. In other words, it brings up a lot of fears, because this way we really are growing the most. Once we remove our fears and limitations, we will discover the essence of who we are and what inspires us. And when we create from this place of love and inspiration, it will be our own unique expression. So concepts like competition, especially within the workspace, kind of fall away. I really believe that what we offer or what we're inspired to offer, especially if it comes from love, will be positive and healthy. And others will find value in this unique thing that we're offering. And this value to others will become an energy exchange, and this energy exchange could take the form of money or financial. And this way we can do what we love and what we're inspired to do, and at the same time it could become our livelihoods or work. So it's really for us to decide when we are ready to change. There are sayings like the gift of desperation, or change only happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. Because unfortunately we are creatures of habit, and we often fear the unknown and we fear changing. So it's, again, really up to us as to when we are ready to change. These days I really don't believe in words like random or luck. I really think everything happens for a reason. It's often quite difficult to understand or know why something's happening, but there is some reason if you go deep enough, although sometimes it's not even that important to know why. It's more just what does it bring up for you, and is it working for you, or is it being healthy for you or not, and changing accordingly. We often don't get what we want, but I really believe we get what we need in life. Again, life is very real. It's not always nice or kind, but it's very real. It's this unconditional love concept again. And we really just need to listen to what life is showing us and know what to make of that. For myself, I've kind of redefined doing one's best. I call it doing my 100% these days, where I'm not doing more than my 100%, or I'm not doing less. I'm not pushing something and I'm not slacking. And I found this incredibly helpful, because growing up doing my best was essentially pushing, and I ended up burning out. So what is one's best? So for me now, as I say, I call doing my best or doing my 100% kind of the same thing. And it's really about feeling what one's 100% is, because that really changes day to day and moment to moment. And we really need to feel into that. So to add to that, we're called humane beings, not human doings. So this whole thing of doing less, being lazy and bad and unhealthy, I don't agree with it at all. In fact, the less we do, and the less productive we are, often the better it is for our environment. And I've come up with a saying of do your best and trust the rest. And that's really also just given me a lot of freedom of kind of letting go. Like, I've done my 100% and now I'm letting go, I'm surrendering. And yeah, that's been really helpful for me recently. I've also found it incredibly important in life to really, as I've said earlier, improve our own self-love and build a really solid and loving relationship with ourselves. To really learn to be gentle and easy on ourselves, to learn to forgive ourselves is huge as well. Again, to do our best and trust the rest, our 100%. And also just to take small steps in life, to change at a pace that we can. Life is big. And also to kind of just approach life in a playful, light way, to inquire and explore. And also, they often call it self-work, this kind of context or this kind of stuff. I find the word work can have quite a heavy energy, so I'm trying to call it like self-play or self-exploration or self-improvement, or, yeah. So I invite you just to kind of play with some of these concepts. And again, whatever feels lightest and easiest to you. But yeah, it's really about getting to know ourselves and to know that we can only ever really rely on our own selves. Also, not to try and change the world or others too much, but to really start with us ourselves. By all means, share what's going on for you with others, and what's working and what isn't working for you. But we can't be sure that the outside world and others can and will change and be able to meet us where we are. But we can change who we are, and to really kind of be the change we want to see in this world. Again, only we can really be sure of changing ourselves. We're also responsible for our own lives and how we feel. No one else is or can even necessarily be able to affect that. There's a quote that goes along the lines of happiness is an inside job, and I really love it because it's kind of speaking to exactly that, of our own happiness is our own responsibility and we need to improve it ourselves. So in summary, I really believe a good quality, simple way of life should be a human right. And so I'd really like to share this understanding of life as well as the tools and insights I've picked up in life so far. And again, wanting to really keep it accessible to everyone. To enable anyone to get closer to this place of being content and having peace of mind. again, I really believe that it'll be better for all on this planet, again, fellow humans and creatures and the environment. So yeah, I'm not claiming ownership of anything here. A lot of what I'm sharing I've picked up, and again just try to put it together in a very simple and hands-on way. That again has really worked for me and that I'm using in day-to-day life. Also, none of this content is set in stone. They are guidelines that have worked for me and make sense to me. So I invite you to use any of the content that is useful for you, and please just feel free to leave the rest or anything that isn't useful to you. Really feel free to experiment with this content and play. Again, keep it in a light kind of way. I really believe that if love is our intention, things can only really get better. And this does seem to be working for me. There also are many other techniques and courses out there. I'm just putting out what's worked for me, and you really need to find what works for you. And just try using different tools from different sources as I have. And really, if it feels good and wholesome and from love, and our intentions are from love, I really believe things can't go wrong. They can only get better. In closing, yeah, I invite you to please use and share and download and spread this content. I'm not charging for it. As I say, I really want it to be accessible for everyone, but I do invite you to donate an amount that you're inspired to give that kind of feels fair and balanced to you. If you could do that through the growfully.org website, that would be awesome. Also, yeah, this whole Growfully project is a work in progress, so I will be adding videos and updating videos, possibly removing videos, who knows, we'll just see how it goes. If you feel to contact me, please do that through the website, but please know it's just me at the moment on this project. And I'm also busy on sister projects and other just general life stuff. So yeah, I hope this has been useful, and yeah, I'm wishing you all the best with getting to know yourself, and much love from Tristan.